Hey there, folks. So last episode we were working on a JSON file reader and ended things off getting that basic read JSON file logic in place. This time around, though, I want to A, cover some of the logging that I've added because I did go about this in a slightly different way, and B, I wanted to expand on this and actually start adding in the error messaging that's going to be within our read file, and well, start trying to test this out for a start. So first things first, though, I want to start off by saying I've gone through, as you can see with what's on the screen right now, and added in some additional, added in the logging that I just put a comment in last episode, and I'm going to go over that quickly. So within our read JSON file, in this first case right here, where we're just parsing information as a raw string and having our success and an error message being returned, you can see in here I've added in logger, get instance, add message. Following the normal format, I have the function. Now, because this isn't a class, this is just a helper function, I've just included the full return. Actually thinking about that, though, what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this to the class file, or the source files. So it's going to be tfutils. I'm going to do that for all of these because we don't need to know about the actual return type. Do I want to add the double colon? Yeah, I'm going to add that in there. This just gives anyone who's reading over a log file some information as to where this error was thrown. So in here, add message, tfutils, read JSON file. That's the function. Failed to read file. And then I'm adding in the return message that we've got from our read file as string function. Now in here, obviously right now, there isn't one, but that's the basic premise of this. And I've got this set as an error level critical, and then we're returning a null pointer. And pretty much the exact same thing with our JSON serializer, or deserializer, I should say. If this fails, we are saying tfutils read JSON file failed to deserialize data, and we're logging that as one log entry for a critical. And then, because this is something we're going to cover later on, I want to have the ability to enable different levels of logging. But then we have another instance case, I should say, where we are literally just dumping what it read from the file, so we can see if, like, it read the wrong file, the file's corrupt, or something like that. So then finally, as we'd set this up with a try catch, we just have a very basic standard exception. There's quite a few different exceptions that could be thrown in this process because we have file access potential, we have potential errors with the serializer or deserializer. So I just have a generic exception here. We are grabbing what that message is, and then we're just logging it. And that is tfutils read JSON file. Need to add that space in there. Exception thrown, and then the exception message. And again, error level critical. Now with that, we want to go through and just add in some things here. So out message equals, and let's do this on both, and then it's going to be in the top one here, which is, does the file exist? File does not exist, and load file to string, failed to load file. And then obviously down here, actually, we're just going to go out message, just in case there's any remnants of other information that's still in there. We're going to nuke and clean out message because we don't want that to have incorrect information. So just to read through, step through, we have our read JSON file function. We're creating a return object here, which is a JSON object shared pointer. And this is where I was screwing it up last episode. It was a shared pointer, not a shared ref. We have the raw data that we're reading out of the file. We have our return message, and then we have, was it a successful read file? We're reading the file, passing through the file path that's coming through. Nope, I'm going to set that as a reference. I'm going to do that in the header file as well, because we don't need to create another copy of the file path. Actually, yeah, we're going to do that with both of these, thinking about it, because we don't need multiple copies of the file path, and that is strings can be very memory intensive, especially if you're dealing with lots of them. In this case, it's only one at a time, but you're talking about a file path that is 512 character max, I believe, unless you enable long file path. They can get pretty memory intensive, especially when, like, if we say we had that 512 characters and we didn't pass this as a reference, we'd have where the string was created to pass through to this function. This function was going to get another copy of it, and then this function for the read file was going to get another copy of it. So that would have been 3 copies of one 512 character string. So you're talking, what's that? 1024, 1536. 1536 characters, which may not seem a lot, but again, it's something you want to try and be cognizant of as you're going through these things. That, okay, so this individual one line here, or one case, is only, I don't know, what's 512 character, 1512, 30, bleh, excuse me. I don't know how big a 512 string is off the top of my head, and 1536 overall isn't a huge amount, but if you're going in with that approach of, oh, this isn't that big, it's not a problem, and you have that all over in your code, it starts to become a problem. So we've gone through, we have our, I'll make this grammatically correct. We have our file read, we have our read JSON file, and then we have the error logging that we've done in there. So what I want to do here is go through and actually start calling this just to see if we can, like, use it. So what I'm going to do, this is going to be player character. I'm going to use this one for the base. Player character. In our player character class here, in our begin play, because we have utils in here, right? Should have checked that before I went to it. No, we don't. So include tf_utils.h. Now this, what I'm doing right now, feel free to do yourself. This is for debug and testing purposes. It's not something you're going to leave in. So we don't really need this header. It's probably also included through another part of the stack. So actually I'm going to comment that out. And then, yeah, we'll go to begin play. And down here, we want a read JSON file. Yeah, we don't have that. Okay, so we do need that. All right, well, now we need to provide it a file path. What does this return? It is a t-shared pointer fjson object. Yep, fjson object. And this, again, like I said, it's not something we need to worry about. This isn't going to be staying in there. This is just some debugging code. Debug1 f string file path equals, and we're going to just pass in a file path. All right, now bear with me 1 second here. I actually want to get a file path for this, so I'm just going to pause quickly, find where that would be, and I'll be right back. All right, so I just went through, created a pretty basic file path for this. So in this case, it's my G drive. That's where I'm doing all my development work. My development folder, project folder, and then within there I have file test folder, and then I have a sample JSON.json. And what I've done for that, just so it is some valid JSON, I have set up a very basic JSON thing in here. So sample debug thing 1, 2, 3. So now that we've got that, we can go through. I'm going to throw a breakpoint here on the file path. And for anyone wondering, sorry, I glanced over this and didn't even mention it. If you're unaware, when you're creating a string that contains a backslash, which is that character right there, that is considered a string control character. So you can use things like \n, \r, new line, carriage return, things like that. So because of that, you need to actually do a double backslash to indicate this backslash is meant to actually be a backslash. Otherwise, it would have been like \d, which isn't a valid control character, or \t, which isn't, or \f, which I think actually is. But either way, so when you're doing something like a file path, there's obviously multiple different ways of doing it. This is, again, as I mentioned, just a very basic way. Like there's helper functions that you can use to create these paths. And obviously this isn't it. This is just to test our JSON reader to make sure this works. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to build the project. I'm going to pause the video again. And as soon as we're built and back in the editor, we're going to, well, I'll be right back. And then we're going to give this a test. So bear with me one moment. All right, folks, so we do have a build error here, and this is, I know exactly what caused this, and I wish I had mentioned it and caught it sooner before this point, but if anyone's trying to run a build, and at this point you're getting these unresolved external symbols, and they're all around your FJSON object, FJSON value, the reason being is by default, JSON's not supported. You need to enable, like with everything else in this, here I was already in there, you need to add it as a module. And this module you want to add is quite literally JSON. So we add that in, we do a build. Now this may actually take a moment. I'm not sure if this is going to cause a full rebuild or not. Oh, I've got my casing wrong there. So as you can see right here, did you mean JSON? Capital J, small SON. Okay, so let's try that again. Build. Now this is, again, like I said, I knew exactly what this was as soon as I seen those, because that's basically those error messages. There you go. You can see build success. Those error messages are caused because it's trying to access linked code in another DLL that it doesn't know about. And in this case specifically, it's the JSON DLL, or the JSON external library. One of the reasons why Epic have done this, and I appreciate it and I fully understand why, is it's to help reduce the overall size of your final project. Because if they just included everything and you didn't need like 90% of it, then you're going to have this huge list of things that are of absolutely no use to you. Let me see if I can find that list quickly. I just had it open, so yeah. So this is an example here, just while the engine loads up. These are all these external linked libraries, and you can see loaded, yes. And I pulled this out, and I think it was quite a few episodes back when I covered this. I pulled this out of the editor. And you can see these are all the ones that are loaded. And there is, let me just go down to the bottom. I'll see here. We are on, there's 519. And I believe these are all loaded equals yes. So I'm just going to Control C, F. Notepad doesn't have what I need here. All right, so either way, though, you can see there's a ton of stuff that gets loaded. With that, obviously, that's an issue. So Epic choose to not load everything because there's obviously more than that. Those are just the loaded ones. But because of that, that build error was being thrown because it didn't know anything about that JSON logic. So now that we've got that in play, where are we sitting at? 45%. So, and as you can see here, these are, again, it's loading. So I've pulled these over. These are all these external DLLs they're loading, like plugin media. Actually, I don't even know if I've gone through and cleared all of these plugins out. That might be part of this. Again, that's why I mentioned towards the start of the series, you want to go through and remove anything you don't need. And even if you're not 100% sure, remove it and then add it on later if you need it. Because again, it's going to help reduce the overall size of your project. Like I've seen a lot of projects that they just leave everything in and they get bloated with so many unneeded libraries, because these libraries aren't small either. So oh no, apparently I opened my asset project as well. That's what's 45%. Well, what I'm going to do, folks, just so this seems to be loading very slowly, I'm going to pause the video and I will be back once we are in the editor and we can actually get through and start testing this work. All right, so that did take a little longer than I thought, but we are back here in the editor. So I'm just going to quickly make sure my breakpoints are working here or set correctly. So player character, begin play, and it's going to be a pain in the butt. So right there. Okay, so our breakpoint is set. So we're going to give this a shot. I'm going to hit play, and then this should trigger that breakpoint. If my system decides to work at a decent pace or not. Oh, we've got unable to find message manager. I forgot to add that in. Okay, so we're in here. So we're just going to take a look. Our file path is sample JSON. Okay, so we are going to go into our TF utilities class, read JSON file. I'm going to throw a breakpoint there and read file from string. So I'm going to hit F10 to continue, jump into there. Okay, now this should drop us when I hit F10. Yep, it's in here. Does file exist? Okay, so the file does exist. That's good. Load file to string. Apparently my GeForce experience decided to finally trigger. Okay, so success true out there, and it's read everything there. Okay, so that's good. Okay, so raw data is correct. Everything there looks right. File path be success is true. Read message. So we should jump over this one. Okay, we're going to go to the deserializer. Okay, that seems to have worked. There is no issue there. Let's take a look. Values. Sample. Yeah. I'm just trying to see. View, I think this is the one I'm on. No. It's been a while since I've worked with JSON. I'm personally a XML, but that's just me. Raw view, object. No. Okay, well, that looks to be good there, so we've returned that. And we have our debug one value. That does have values. Sample. Value. Debug value. There we go. So it is quite a way through that nested value, but you can see we have thing 1, the value of 1,000, thing 2 is 1,500, thing 3 with a value of 2,000. And if I just bring back my document, you can see everything is set there. So Hit continue. Back to the editor. And we're in here, and you can see our time and stuff isn't updating because we don't have a message manager or anything. So get rid of that, or drop out of this session, I should say. And let's add that message manager in quickly just to make sure. All right. But with that, that is really what I wanted to cover in this episode. I personally need to do some more digging on the XML side of excuse me, brain's not working. The XML side of file read within Unreal. I would rather go through and use an existing XML setup that they have, before using a third-party XML, or ultimately what I personally do in my own projects. I have my own pretty simple string read parser that I can go through and strip things out as I need them. But that covers the actual reading of that JSON file. There is one other thing we're going to want to look at, and that's what next episode is going to be. And that's going to be, we want to ultimately, and this is something that, as I mentioned, we're going to be using it for monster generation. And, well, pretty much everything else. It's going to be for monsters, for equipment, for everything like that. So what I'm going to do, next episode is going to be covering, I think I'm going to start with a creature factory. And that is going to be the singleton class, for lack of a better term, that is going to be used to store and create all spawned creatures. Because though right now we've gone through and we have some, placed in world actors like the deer and the wolf, I don't want things to be placed in, because I do want some extent of randomization. I don't want you to always log into this map and go to this location and there always is a deer that spawns there, that sort of thing. So I'm going to be going through and including a small extent of randomization. We're going to have creature spawning that there'll be spawn type lists, things like that. But anyways, folks, so I know last episode I said it was probably going to be the last one of the 2024. I did manage to find some time to record this episode. So this is going to be the last episode of 2024. Just simply because right now, with everything going on, I am down to being able to record one episode a week. Next episode is, this one's going out on the 30th. So next episode won't be out until probably the 6th of January, unless I find some more time between now and then to get some more episodes recorded. I would like to go to a more frequent than once a week schedule. It's just right now with everything, I simply don't have time. But with that, as this is going to be the last episode of 2024, I just want to say happy holidays, Merry Christmas. For lack of my knowledge of other seasonal events, insert season's greeting here. Hope 2024 was good for everyone. I hope 2025 is going to be just as good, if not better, for everyone. And as always, thanks for watching. If you have any comments, questions, concerns, suggestions, please feel free to leave them in the comments below. Or you can hop over on the Discord, ask questions there, general chit-chat, things like that. Always try to respond as quick as I can. But as always, folks, thanks for watching, and I will see you on the next episode.